Hello and welcome to our Friday webinar at, let's see, we got Lisa Bono back with us. Welcome, Lisa.
Hi, everyone. Hi.
And so today's topic, you're going to give us a recap, behind the scenes look at the recent Phoenix Landing Wellness Retreat, which was back at the beginning of the month.
Correct. Yes, up in Asheville, North Carolina. I say up because I'm in South Carolina.
Ah, okay. And also, we got so much material to cover. Apparently, there's so much happening at this retreat that we're doing a two-parter. So this is going to be part one of the recap, and then we'll have a follow-up a follow-up webinar for part two. And I believe we have, let's see, I'm going to announce it early, May 17th. That's when we're gearing for that one, I believe, right?
Yes,
So
the second part.
all right, a lot to cover. Yay. I mean, a wellness retreat, it just sounds, how was the weather, by the way, at the retreat? I'm just,
Actually, it was a little chilly, but I mean, we didn't have any issues with rain or, I mean, the skies were beautiful. We were inside most of the time, so but it was, for everybody who went out, say Saturday night for dinner or Sunday night for dinner, it was very nice.
all right. I'm just because the wellness retreat just sounds like so relaxing. Just like a coming of the minds of and relaxation and all that sounds delightful.
Yes.
All right. So let's see. Oh, and how's everybody behind you there? See them all.
They're all doing well except for Sydney. He chewed his little arm wing pits again. So he's got his collar on. It's been off, and yesterday he took a bath and decided, well, today's a good day to chew under there again. So but we can talk about that in another episode or even later on. So
okay.
But yeah, so go ahead.
On. I was going to, we have a lot of territory to cover, so I was going to hand it off to you soon, but what were you going to say?
I was going to say that because I have over 300 slides, pictures, interviews of everybody. And even though I tried to get it all into one day, it just wasn't happening. There was just too much good information, too much fun to put it in one. So that's why we're splitting it up into two. So today I'm going to do Saturday. And then on the 17th of May, I'll be doing the Sunday edition. So.
Okay. So this is day one of the wellness retreat that we're doing. Okay. That sounds great. And let's see, so you have a presentation for us. So like you mentioned, you've got a ton of material to share. So
yes,
I am going to let you take it away so we can get as much covered during this hour that we can. So.
Okay. Just bear with me for a second while I bring everything up. And minimize everybody else. All right. And move stuff. Don't mind that. I'm trying to move the bar so I can.
I'm just looking at the chats while you're at. Yeah, I'm in Southern California too, and I feel it's cloudy here. It's been cloudy here for a long time.
Yes, and I do have to say, if the birds do freak out, I apologize. My neighbor is cutting the branches off his trees, which is about 15 feet away from the house. So I have the blinds down, but that doesn't get rid of the noise he may make with the limbs coming down. So I want to welcome everybody. I believe, and I can't believe that this is the 25th episode of The Gray Way, and it wouldn't be possible without everybody tuning in. So thank you very much. This is part one. So I was going in there as a representative for Lafeber so I could take some pictures, and people didn't think I was just a crazy lady with the camera all over the place. They knew I was taking pictures and videos for a reason, and they gave me permission or did not come up as requested. If they didn't want to be in here, then, I let them know to tell me, but luckily everybody wanted to be part of it. So going to start off. So for the people that don't know Phoenix Landing, it's a great organization, and they help a lot of different birds that are relinquished in various states, and they end up adopting these birds out, and they make sure you go to classes. They're not just going to give a bird to anybody. And I actually appreciate what they have potential owners go through. So we make sure that these birds stay in the home and it's a successful placement. So they've been around for quite a while. I can't tell you how many years, but I can tell you that this was the 7th biannual wellness retreat, and I have been at every one. This is one of the best conventions you could go to. It's a lot of fun. It has everything from the typical owner like me. They have behaviorists, they have toy companies and other manufacturing companies. And then you have your vet students, and then you actually have your veterinarians. And so there's no other place you could really go and have all this, at your fingertips to talk with people and learn together. So I'm going to just read briefly some of these people that were there for the weekend. If you could see all these wonderful veterinarian behavior people coming in to teach us. So I'm going to talk with my northern accent, New Jersey accent. I may be pronouncing some of these names wrong, but that's what happens. We have Dr. Rachel Baden from the Medical Center for Birds in Oakley, California. We had Cindy Brown. She was a senior veterinarian at the Animal Medical Center in New York City, and that's where I met her over 20 years ago. We have Dr. Carruthers came in, and she's from Stahl Exotic Animal Veterinary Team in Fairfax, Virginia. We had Dr. Dalhausen, and he's been practicing medicine for over 32 years. He has a special interest in diagnostic methods and infectious diseases such as avian bornavirus and avian ganglionitis. He's a founder of the Veterinary Molecular Diagnosis Lab, and he is in Ohio. We have Dr. Scott Eccles, and he is, let's see, I'm trying to see where he's at. He's out of California. It doesn't exactly say where he is on here, but a lot of people have heard me say his name, and he does a lot of reviews and consultations with vets as well. He was there via webinar. Then we had Jose, and he is actually somebody who has 16 years in the field experience. So he's been out in the wild. He watches the birds, he comes back, he reports back to what they're doing. And this helps all of us learn more about behavior, more how to take care of them and what they need to thrive. And he's the program coordinator for the McCall Recovery Network. We have Dr. Magnotti. She is, she finished her residency at Stahl Exotic Animal Hospital, veterinary service in Fairfax, and then went on to become an associate veterinarian at the Avian and Exotic Animal Medical Department at the Gulf Coast Veterinary Specialist in Houston. We have Dr. Oros. She's been around and practicing for over 32 years. She's board certified in the US and Europe. She specializes in anatomy, neuroanatomy, and too much that ever can be listed. She is like a walking wealth of knowledge. And she is also out of Ohio. Then we have Dr. Schulman, and she is at the Medical Center for Birds in Oakley, California. We had Dr. Stahl, and he is the founder of the Stahl Exotic Animal Veterinary Service in Fairfax, Virginia. And we had Wouter Stellard, and he has actually been working in the animal behavior field for 30 years. He was the training director at the Columbus Zoo in Ohio. And he is, he is the owner of Behavior 360, which focuses on training the trainers. And then we had Deb White, and Deb White is from Superbird Creations. You guys have heard me talk about her before, and she also has Make Your Own Bird Toys. So they were all there. They were there to share with us, to answer questions and teach us so we can go back and help others. So this is, I have to move my little bar again. Sorry. I wish I knew how to get rid of this big bar. Okay. So these are the ladies that really created this event. So you have Ann Brooks, and she is from Phoenix Landing. She is also a colleague of mine in the International Association of Animal Behavior Consultants. And then you have Dr. Oros. And as I mentioned, there's too many things that I could list on there, which she's part of, and she's fantastic. So let's get some of these videos going, and I'll kind of explain what's going on.
Thank you for showing up today. We used to have this thing called Mid-Atlantic States AAV, and that's kind of where I got the inspiration of this. They were really wonderful little short conferences.
So I've actually been to the conferences she was talking about, and yes, it was great. It was fantastic. You learned a lot, but it was geared towards vets. This is geared towards everybody. So what is the weekend actually all about? It's about learning, sharing, and networking. Now, this is a picture of me, my hair, you could tell, many, many moons ago there. And every year I'd come down from New Jersey. I was very happy to move down this way. So this way I'm a drive away. I don't plan on missing anybody. So Friday night, what happens is anybody who's able to get there early, they have a meet and greet. So you get to go in and meet some of your fellow, bird keepers and, owners and rescue people and veterinarians. And you kind of just, you see people from the years before, you get a chance to catch up. And this keeps everybody busy as the other people are still flying in or driving in from all over the United States and actually all over the world. So this is going to be the Saturday schedule that you have to choose from. Some of the classes are going to be repeated, so you can see them at different times or different days. There are too many great ones, and it's very hard to choose. And what I usually do is I end up going for more advanced or more medical because I have an interest in that. I wanted to be a vet when I was young. It didn't happen. Probably good because I don't think I can handle people like myself. But so I went on to some of these classes, and what I did is I took some pictures and some videos of what was going on in the classes. And I mean, for instance, there was one here that was diagnosing Bornovirus and avian ganglionitis, what you need to know. I mean, this is all stuff as owners we need to be aware of. So this is a typical classroom. This was the macaw room, actually. So this is where we would gather for lunch. We gather in the morning if we had announcements. We gather at night. A lot of people will donate things, and they have like a silent auction, and you can see some of the things around there. All the money goes to help the birds. So maybe even if you can't be there in person, maybe you want to think about that in the future and maybe send something along. If you are a business, or even if you're an owner and you want to try to help parrots, this is a great way to do it. So this is going to be my first interview. And this is Jeannie, and she is from New Jersey, and she helped me out many moons ago with a cockatoo that my brother had. I'm forever grateful. And here we go. And if you cannot hear it for some reason, please let me know.
From A Helping Wing up in New Jersey. I'm going to talk to a bunch of different people to find out just why they come to the Wellness Retreat by Phoenix Landing. So why did you decide to come all the way down here?
Probably the topics.
Okay.
Where else are you going to hear, like, 15, 20 different vets all talk?
Right.
So, and plus, half of my friends are here.
All right, and the camaraderie. And have you met a lot of people down here?
I've had a few.
Okay.
Had a few.
Is this your first time down here?
It is.
Will you be back?
I will be back.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks for talking.
So you'll see with some of these videos, I might appear to be a little bit out of it or not myself, and we'll kind of get into that later on. So the first seminar that I went to was by Dr. Cindy Brown. Again, I met her over 20 years ago, the Animal Medical Center. And this is going to be about chlamydia diagnosis and review. Are we going there again? Difficult diagnosis and how to manage treatment and exposure. And it's important for us to know this kind of stuff because it is something that we should be testing for when we bring home a new bird, just to make sure there's nothing going on. One thing I did learn while I was there and overhearing people is if you have a sick bird, something like this, it's a zoonotic disease, which means it can be passed from human to bird as well as bird to bird. And when you have a bird that's sick, you're going into the vet. Not only do you and your family have a risk of getting this, if that's what it is, also your veterinarian. And a lot of times we don't think about that, but they're also putting themselves in harm's way to help care for our birds. So there's been a lot of vets that have actually come down with this disease because they're helping us. So, we got to give them a kudos for what they do for us on a daily basis that we don't even think about. So this disease is actually transmitted with respiratory through, fecals when they poo and it dries. You have to be careful. There's other ways it can be transmitted. I have it all on here. I'm just not going to read it all. There's a great link down on the bottom if you would like to read a little bit more about it. So you're going to hear about it being called chlamydia. Chlamydiasis is probably, again, I'm not a vet, I'm not pronouncing these right, but that's probably how your vet is going to talk to you about it. Also, I believe it's parrot fever and psittacosis. So there's different names out there. And when you hear something like that, it's generally we're speaking about this. So if your bird is sick and you go into the vet and you're not sure what's going on, you have to be aware your vet can't just look at this bird and say, hey, it's got this. We need to have tests done. Let them do it. If they're there to help you, make sure you're able to let them do the correct test so you can get the correct medications. This is, again, part of all these slides going through everything. I don't want to use personal slides. These are just general from their lectures. A lot of people don't realize when you have something like this, they have to be treated for a long period of time. It's not a week, it's not 2 weeks, it's not 3 weeks. You got to really work on this to make sure that this disease is taken care of. This is why you need to be able to see a bird vet. All the different dosages are different for each species. And while it might be a little farther to go to a vet that works with birds, it's very important because they're going to know this kind of stuff. Where you're local that does dogs and cats, they probably don't know, and it's going to be more of a guess. So this is an interview with Dr. Brown.
Okay, so I'm here with one of my favorite people and one of my best vets. This is Dr. Cindy Brown. I met her over 20 years ago at the Animal Medical Center, and she's one of the speakers here today. And she's in Mystic, Connecticut, which I just joined Companion Animal Hospital, which is in Groton, Connecticut. We're lucky to have you. Thank you. So tell me, why have you come here? Besides being a speaker, because I've seen you here before.
I love this conference. I think that one really beneficial thing is that it brings different disciplines and different ideas together. So whether I want to talk with a biologist of birds or someone who does behavior, there's other people that you can kind of tap into their resources and then build on your own repertoire of what you have to offer to clients. And it's just a lot of informational sharing. And it's a very non-competitive environment, so you're not stressed, it's laid back, relaxed.
Right.
And everyone's very approachable. And I think that that's really important, especially when you're trying to foster learning and getting some of the younger veterinary crowd interested in birds.
Yes, that's important to carry on and share your knowledge. So thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you.
Okay.
So I was very lucky that I had somebody following me around and being willing to take all these videos and helping me out a great deal. I couldn't have done the weekend without her. Next, we're going into the lecture for Dr. Carruthers, and she is from Seves in Virginia. And we talked about cloacal prolapses, the odds and rear ends, it was a really catchy little title there. And this was very interesting to me because just recently I've gone through this, what I thought was this, close to midnight at night, I noticed it. So, I wanted to go in and I wanted to find out why this occurs, what happens. So what I also like about all these classes is you find out about the organ, and then you find out what happens, then you find out how to treat it. So that's why I like going to more of the medical stuff, so I can learn all this and help everybody. So this is a little drawing here, and it kind of explains that what's up inside the bird in the cloaca. This actually was a picture I shared weeks ago, and you could see the same sort of little drawing. And this was my Sydney. He did not have a prolapse, but of course, if it's something strange, my birds get it. He actually chewed on himself down there and he created an ulcer. So it was completely different, but still something that shows you it can happen in the area. So you want to make sure that you're aware of these things. And probably it will never happen to anybody else's bird, like Sydney, but you never know. So these are some of the causes for the prolapses. You have to think, if you have a bird that's sick and you have this piece that keeps coming out, regardless of the area, it has to be taken care of by a vet. It's not going to go away. It could be something with the muscles that are not as toned as they used to be and pushing too much, or constipating. There's a lot of different things depending on whether it's behavioral or neurologic, or, it has a disease or it's reproductive. And again, I'm sorry that this is not clearer, but these are, reasons that it might happen. So you do have to be careful. And what I'd like everybody to do, I know we're going kind of quick with these slides, is you will get a copy of the repeat and you'll be able to stop that and you'll be able to read these a little bit better, because it's a lot to go through. So this is going to be post replacement medical therapy. This is what the vets are going to talk to their clients about, what they have to do, what not to do. This bird, had some sort of surgery or something to put back up into the bird, and you don't want to bring it home and just have it happen again. So we talked about, let me see here. We talked about surgery can reduce the size of the opening with lateral by 25% with lateral sutures, which means instead of the vet going in on both sides of the rear end where the vent where the prolapse is coming out, they actually go in on one side. And then of course, if it works and everything's fine, the bird does end up pooping out to the side a little bit, but it ends up being a little easier to do, and then you won't have to worry about both sides healing. You have to make sure that you have the environmental modifications in place, and you need to make sure that surgical intervention is likely to fail when performed alone, and underlying causes of straining are not addressed. So if your bird had the surgery, you go home, you go right back to petting them, you're doing all these things that we really shouldn't do, then you're going to have the same thing over and over again. Work with your vet so it's easy. Okay, so this is Dr. Tammy Parker. She is not far from me in South Carolina, and this is where I refer a lot of my clients to down here.
Okay, we're here with Dr. Tammy Parker, and she is from the Landrum Animal Hospital. She's in the upstate of South Carolina, where I'm at. And Dr. Parker, why did you decide to come today?
This is a great conference where we bring together veterinarians, clients, behavioralists, rescues, a large group of people. It gives us an unprecedented opportunity to talk to the entire system of the bird world. And the continuing education is amazing. Whether you're a novice owner or a seasoned veterinarian, there is something for everybody that you learn.
Yes. And I actually met you last year or 2 years ago at the conference, and that's how I found out you were in my immediate area. So you're kind of like a veteran here now.
Yes, I'm a veteran here.
It's great to see you back, and
Thank you.
hope we can all become a bigger part of this.
Oh yes, it's a wonderful, wonderful conference, and I enjoy it even more so than just the straight veterinarians only conference. It's a lot of fun.
Right, a lot of laughs.
A lot of laughs.
Meet a lot of people.
Yep.
So, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for helping my clients down in upstate.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for sponsoring this. This is great time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, the next class I went to was going to be pulse electromagnetic therapy. Say that 3 times fast. And it's used for treatment, support of pain, injury, and inflammation. So the pulse electromagnetic therapy is used to decrease pain and inflammation and help accelerate healing and reduce anxiety. So this little creation over here in the corner is what we're kind of talking about. So this is not a new way to treat people. They've been doing it for a very long time, and now they're starting to incorporating it into using it for animals and pets, along with different types of therapy, such as, hold on, I lost my spot there. Okay, well, it'll come to me. Anyway, so they use this with different types of therapies, and this is a great addition to what, if your vet can use something like this to help your animal heal. So this kind of tells you how it works. And of course, it's way over my head, but for the vets that are out there and possibly watching, this tells you how it all works. And they've been using it since this 1970s to help target bones and increase healing and non-healing fractures. So let me see. So this is actually a picture of a cat. I know, strange in a bird webinar, but this is all I could really find to use. So this cat has some sort of issue that is going on. It looks like his back hip or something. So with this kind of therapy, they will put this on the animal or around the animal, depending on what size unit you have. And this helps and aids in the recovery. So as I was talking about Sydney with his little collar and his little wing pits, this is something that I'm actually going to look into and talk to my vet about and see if we can help close up those issues and maybe make him feel a little bit more comfortable, maybe calm him down a while. It's good for wing pit wounds, ulcerations, arthritis. We talked about the treatments and how you want to use them each day, going on to every other day and letting the treatments go farther and farther apart, but to continue them to make sure that they're getting relief from whatever's going on. And if you look into it, you talk to your vet about it, some insurances may cover it. So every illness is a bioenergetic breakdown of the organisms. It's a sign that the cells have been deprived of energy and the defense mechanism is weakened. So that's probably exactly what's going on with Sydney. His skin and everything is all weakened in that area. It's probably bothering him. He's going right back to that spot. They're finding a lot of these wing pit area, wounds, because it's mutilation in this area. End up coming back to maybe being part of a heart issue. It's harder to get that area to close up and heal because, it's closed most of the time. It's sweating. Usually if they're mutilating, they're not having feathers or anything in that area to get rid of any of the kind of moisture, and it just kind of festers. Now, this is actually Dr. Austin, and she was there with her husband, who is also a vet. And I had the pleasure of working with her earlier in the year. And we talked about this conference, and this was the first time I was ever get to meet her and her team, because she came down with some people from our hospital and get this going.
Okay, I'm here with Dr. Austin, and she's from West Virginia, and she is at the Grace Animal Hospital. And why did you decide to come today?
We came with a group of veterinarians. We want to learn more about avian medicine and just be able to collaborate with our colleagues and have a good time and meet wonderful people like Miss Lisa.
Thank you.
And sorry, I realize it is a bit loud in the background here, but mostly to learn and to be able to discuss with other veterinarians, collaborate, and have a good time.
Okay. And have you found a favorite part yet?
Oh, all the lectures are great. Honestly, I think it's nice because it is a smaller conference. We really weren't sure what we were going to be. The fact that it's not just veterinarians,
Right.
that we have, just enthusiasts that are here too. We really weren't sure what to expect.
Right.
But I was pleasantly surprised and very pleased that the level of education was excellent. And so it's definitely a great conference. I think the fact that it's small, it's very intimate, and we just love the people and we love the topics and good, the whole thing.
Is it your first time here?
It's our first time.
Will you be back?
We will be back. Yep, we will definitely be back in a couple of years.
I'm glad to hear that, and thank you for taking care of the parrots in West Virginia.
Yeah, happy to.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, the next lecture that I went into was going to be Dr. Stahl. And this is something, especially with my gray group on Facebook, we talk a lot about respiratory disease and challenges. On any social media, you always have people coming in and say, my bird's breathing heavy, or he's doing this or doing that. Or they call me on the phone if they're clients, and we talk about it. And there's so much to learn about this. So this is, again, we learn about the organ, then what the diseases are and how to treat it. And this was the beginning, and he was teaching us the respiratory system, where everything is. I don't think this one's a video. No. Okay. All right. So here's a video of how the respiratory system works on a bird.
You see in blue is basically part of the respiratory system. So again, the sinus system of the head, look at how expansive that is. There's all kinds of nooks and crannies for infection and fluid to hide. So obviously when we're dealing with sinus disease and sinusitis, this is kind of what we're dealing with. All these little nooks and crannies. And then as we work our way down the air sac system, you've got the cervicocephalic air sacs in this region here. Air sacs again around the face and the skull of the bird. And then look at these pneumatized bones, all right? So very important to understand that the humeri of birds actually are part of the respiratory system, okay? So interesting things, when we amputate the limbs here, we've got to be concerned that we're exposing and opening ourselves up into the airway there. And then we have the lungs are kind of located in this area here, and then again, these expansive air sacs, and also air sac system in the femurs as well. So just a very complicated system. You can imagine if there's disease or inflammation anywhere in that system, it can be difficult to track down. So how do we try to do that? So a couple things again about physiology. I won't bore you too much, but the main takeaway from this with birds is that with both inspiration, bringing air in, and expiration, bringing air out, the birds are oxygenating, okay? This very, if you follow the little arrows here, which is tricky to follow, but as we're bringing air in, it goes down into the air sac systems, and then some of that air then is traversing up into the functional lung, and then out again. So it's sort of like a air in, and pushes other air out, and then out of the bird. So each time inspiration is happening, we're getting oxygen exchange. And every time there's expiration, we're still getting oxygen exchange. Okay, so this very complex system. And here's on expiration, you can see we still have red arrows in the functional lung. And some of those are air sacs emptying out and going into the lungs, and then some of that are the cranial air sacs are emptying out and going out of the body. The key thing is that birds are so efficient with this respiratory system, with that oxygenating of the tissues with both inspiration and expiration. That's how they're able to have this efficiency that we talk about. That's also why they're so vulnerable to things like toxins and those sorts of things. And this is why, you know, the canaries would die in the coal mine before the mine workers were, because of the efficiency of that system and those toxic gases getting into their lungs and killing these birds. Okay?
Okay, so as you can see, when your bird is not breathing correctly or you have a concern, just look at all those different things that our vets need to keep in mind when they're trying to diagnose what's going on. The next quick video
In blue is basically
I want to show you is when your bird goes in and is having a hard time breathing, they have to think in the back of their mind all different types of scenarios. And they also want to know your husbandry at home. So they want to know what you're using in the bottom of the cages. You hear, I tell people all the time, I want to see you use just paper. There's reasons for it, and we'll go over it after this.
That bird is breathing in 100,000 spores, okay? The numbers are way off on that, but the idea is you're bombarding that bird's respiratory system with all those little aspirin particles, and then of course a granuloma or an infection might happen. So very important to find out what kind of substrate. Also, if it's living in a basement, maybe where they've had mold.
Okay, so when your bird comes in, they're gonna ask you what kind of substrate you're using. Are you using paper? Are you using, you know, say walnut? Are you using recycled stuff? Are you using corn cob? All that kind of stuff. If you are using, say, like the corn cob or the walnut, they tend to have more mold spores. And then when birds flap their wings in the cage or around the cage, these mold spores all go into the air. And then guess what? Your bird breathes it in. So if they know that you're using something like that, aspergillosis automatically goes to the top of the list of things that can be wrong. Also, if you're using a product like that, when you go to scoop it out, and you get these little clumps on your scooper, that what you're actually lifting up is mold. Okay, so if your bird is sick and you hear a wheeze coming from the bird, the wheeze is actually on an exhale. There's some tests that the vets might have to do. And in the past, we've talked about a lot of people saying, including me way back when, that putting a bird under for sedation is not the safest thing. We've come so far with avian medicine, and there's so many different things that they can do that sedation has become safer through the years. And keep in mind, when you go to the vet and they want to run these tests, they're not running the tests that need to be done to drain your wallet. They're doing it to help you target what's wrong with your bird so you can efficiently treat it. They want to save your birds. They went into this profession because they love birds. And this is what they want to do.
That bird is breathing in.
So this is also things that can happen secondary to respiratory diseases. You can have cardiac issues, you know, other kinds of, lung conditions. You can have enlarged organs. So you have to be careful, and you don't want to wait around if you see something like that. And here is an interview. And again, some of the noise is very loud because we were all in the McCall room, and it did get very loud for a lot of them because people were enjoying themselves and having fun. So again, if you have to do the review, please do it so you can get what everybody's saying.
Okay, I'm here with Dr. Scott Stahl, and most of you guys from my webinars are aware I talk about Project Perry as well, and this is one of their lead veterinarians. So I would like to know what brings you down here.
Thank you for asking. Well, I'm so excited to be here. Susan Oros and Anne have done such a fantastic job of bringing groups of bird lovers together, and we're talking from all facets. So everything from behavior and toy making to lots of veterinary-related topics. It's just been a fantastic meld of all that energy. And so it's exciting to be here. We certainly appreciate Lafeber's support for this conference, and we wish that Ted Jr. could have been here with us. We miss him. He would have been wonderful to have. But I just feel like, as I just mentioned in the closing remarks, that there's just been great energy here. We're all here for one thing, and that's to do a better job with our pet birds and to try to help with our conservation with those birds in the wild. So thanks a lot.
And thank you.
You're
for
welcome.
talking with us,
Appreciate
and
it.
thanks for taking care of the birds up there. I know you
Love
mean a
it.
lot to them guys.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Just want to say, I didn't say this before, and I should have, that, he founded the Stahl Exotic Animal Veterinary Services up in Fairfax. And its practice has grown to 6+ doctors, and Dr. Stahl has trained over 200 veterinary students over 3 decades. So we owe him a lot of thanks, because these vets then all go all over the United States, and we benefit from that. So I just wanted to let that be known. Okay, and here we have Dr. Oros. Let me get my paper. And like I said, she's just walking knowledge. I never get tired of sitting in on any of her lectures, and we could listen to her all day long. So this is going to be about commonly used herbs in avian practice. I've talked to a lot of my clients about different herbs and stuff you can use, especially for motion sickness. You've heard a lot about liver tinctures and stuff like that. So there are some vets that do practice both Western and typical medicine. And this is some of the stuff that we talked about. So if your bird has liver issues, this topic usually comes up with a lot of people whose birds have liver issues. So this is some of the stuff that she uses in her practice. And also you can see that milk thistle is also good, or helps with other chronic conditions as well. Here we have a little, I think this is a video. No, it's not. The next one is. So this is Ginger. And I actually have a bird that gets extremely car sick. So I came across this many years ago, and I'll actually make up a little ginger water because I didn't have access to all the other kinds of things that, are out there and the vets were using. I was far away from a vet at a time, and it was an emergency that I had to go. So I used ginger, and it actually worked very well. So here we go.
Is ginger. And that's another, if I was caught on a desert island and I'd want to take ginger with me along with milk thistle, right? And so it's a common spice in food. There's been a number of studies on nausea related to it, and it also has an anti-inflammatory effect. So here again, I just want to show you chemistry. The world is better with chemistry. And sure enough, we had the zingara beans and the gingerols, which are important, and those are the constituents they're going to look for when they make tincture products up. So they're going to look for those, and that's what Consumer Labs is doing. And and they're gonna look and see if they're in there at the concentration they say they're in, but they're also gonna check to make sure that there aren't other things in there, like heavy metals, for example. And so, in a study done with chemotherapy, dogs that had vomiting, they use it as an antiemetic, and it reduced the incidence of vomiting. So, and then in one study it was a really tough ferry ride from England over to France, and the wind was whipping and the waves were jostling, and so they did this study where they gave half the subjects Dramamine and the other half they gave ginger to, and they wanted to see who was less irpy on it when they ended the trip, and the ginger absolutely won over the Dramamine, which I thought was an interesting study. I thought that was pretty cool.
So there are a lot of veterinarians that are now working with herbals in conjunction to traditional medications. So you're lucky if you're able to find somebody like that. And, you know, I'd pick their brains a little bit more about that and find out if these are two herbs that you could, you know, put into their diet if you needed it. They are actually,
And that's
they are actually very helpful. And now we have, this is actually somebody from a rescue that I met there, and her name is Shelly. And where's, okay, hold on.
I'm here with Shelly, and she is from Michigan, and she has the Cockatoo Ranch.
Yep, it's a rescue.
Okay. And why did you decide to come to this event?
Well, Dr. O is my vet, and
Okay.
she actually had invited me last year, but I had already signed up and paid for something else. I am all about continuing education. The community, you know, like this was wonderful because it wasn't just focused on medical. There was so many different things that we could learn.
Right.
And it layers, you know, knowledge comes in layers. We don't go somewhere and learn something in one sitting.
Right.
So if you go back, if you have things like this available year after year, you can just build your knowledge.
Right.
And that's why I came, and that's why I will come next year if you guys have it again.
Yeah, that was my question. We next year it should probably be online, so I hope everybody's going to keep an eye out for it. And then following year, they'll every 2 years they have it, and we hope to see you again.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so this is the wind down from Saturday's classes. The classes are, I think, about an hour and 15 minutes, and then they have time for questions and answers. And these are some of the other people that went. So on the left, you are going to see my colleagues in the International Association of Animal Behavior Consultants. And on the right, you're going to see two of my veterinarians going back 20-something years, and they've always been fantastic with me. So now I have one more interview for you. And, excuse me, this one was a tough one, and I'll explain afterwards. This is Dr. Pilney. Again, I've known him for 20-something years.
Okay, I am here with somebody that's been very important to me. This is Dr. Anthony Pilney, and he, for all the people that knew Abby in my webinars, he is Abby's other daddy. So he is from the Arizona Exotic Animal Hospital out in Phoenix, right? Phoenix?
Phoenix, yes.
They're very lucky to have him.
Thank you.
And why did you decide to come here today? Well, you were a speaker last year.
Correct, yeah.
And now you're here to watch and learn. So what?
Well, there's a number of reasons. This is a great small conference. It's an excellent opportunity to focus a bit more on clinically useful information in caring for pet birds. Some of the bigger conferences get so heavily scientific, and really we're looking for ways to truly learn how to improve captive bird care, looking for ways to network with other veterinarians, veterinary technicians, and people who just love birds and own them and live with them, to share that aspect of the bird world. So it's a great opportunity to hear some still state-of-the-art, newer lectures, some up-to-date science. But again, I just really like the focus on a small family group type of conference where people are very friendly and kind, and a great opportunity to really just talk about birds.
And coming from my standpoint as an owner, I feel it's very important for us to come here and learn alongside you so we can help with the recovery and care of our species.
Right.
When they're, with you.
And that's a great part of it, is the conference is appealing to anybody. You don't have to be a veterinarian. You don't have to work at a bird rescue.
Right.
You don't have to run a sanctuary. There's something for everyone if you're interested in birds. And I think because Phoenix Landing hosts it and we love the organization, it's a conference full of people who really care about birds, who are passionate about them, and who are trying to make sure that we do right by them.
Right.
So conservation, good medicine, proper care, it covers all of that. And there's something for everyone.
Right. And that's why I'm thrilled that you're coming out every year so we can reconnect. And
Absolutely.
it's a gathering for family. So thank you.
Good way to look at it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a
Thank
great
you.
event.
Thank you for coming and for being part of my life.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Okay. So on a personal note, I was very happy to have somebody behind the scenes helping me this entire weekend. Some people know, but some do not, that I need a little extra help this time because it was a tough conference for me. So this is Jen, and she was a client or become a very good friend because she kept an eye on me. She made sure that I, didn't need for anything. She kept me on track. She kept me laughing. And the reason I needed that is because less than, I'd say 28 hours before the event, I lost Abby. So it was good that I went up there and met with everybody because I needed it. I needed a hug from Dr. Pilney because he was the one who gifted me with Abby. And while I was there, I had so many other people come up to me that I did not know that wanted to hug me. The vets took care of me. I was welcomed as soon as I got there because people knew what had happened. And people told me that I was either strong or brave for being there, and I was not. That's why I needed to be there. So I want to thank everybody for making my weekend a little easier before I had to come home. And that's how I'm ending it today, because Abby deserved her little limelight.
Aw. Thank you, Lisa. I think you're in the right spot. I'm really glad that you were able to be there and surrounded by people that get you,
Yes.
that was your family member. And so with the right group, and what a trooper. I mean, just, I think, yeah, that was probably the place you needed to be that weekend, especially.
It was.
So.
It was definitely because I couldn't be home and I wasn't sure. She was declining quickly. And I did not know if I wanted to go, if I wanted to leave her. I could tell you I did not. But she made the choice when to go. And I decided I needed to be with people that understood. And the best thing that could have happened to me was to be there with everybody else.
For sure.
So,
yeah. I mean, that kind of hammers home the, just that having a bird community is such an important thing to have, especially, like whether you're going to a conference like this or you just even joining us online and seeing the chat, and stuff. It's just, you're surrounded by people that been there or understand really completely how important, our feathered family members are to us. They are family, and it's really hard when we lose them. So yeah.
right. And it was one of the auction items was actually a big planter with an African gray on it. And of course, you know, we were all trying to go after that. There was a gentleman there and he's like, I'm going to keep bidding higher. And, you know, so he actually ended up winning. And we went over and I joked with him. I said I was going to trip him on the way out and my friend Jem was going to steal it and run. And he actually told us that he got it for his wife because she had a cockatoo that just passed away. And they brought an African gray in to help her heal. So he was like, she's going to love this and she'll be so happy because she's devastated. And I told him, I said, I understand. I'm glad you want it.
Oh, yeah, that's, oh my, yeah, that's tender right there. Yeah, we're getting all these people. I mean, you're surrounded by love here too. We've got all these people in the chat, just, you know, saying their love and condolences to you. So, yeah.
I appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing them all after the webinar when they're sent to me. So thank you.
All right. Let's see. Okay. You know, and I'm just curious if everyone wants to raise their hands, how many people have actually been to like a bird focused seminar or event? You know, if you've ever, all right. I imagine, that's the numbers going up quite. You know, if you haven't, then I mean, you really should consider it. This is where you're really surrounded by a great group of people that have knowledge and love of birds to share with you. So there we go.
And also it's great because if you're on the East Coast, if you're coming down to Asheville for the weekend to go to this, you know, you have your options to go out. You can go into Asheville itself, explore that. You have the Biltmore Estate. I urge anybody who can come down here for the weekend or come here for the weekend to be part of this and stay a couple extra days, explore the area. You will love it and you will be back.
Okay. All right. There we go. There's the first, yeah, that, and thank you so much for that recap. Again, just to remind people that we're going to do the day 2 of the retreat on May 17th, I believe. Yeah, so we'll dive further into what went down at the Phoenix Landing retreat. And let's see. We do have a giveaway winner today. Just waiting for let's see if we got that in yet. Oh, and we do have some people on with us today. They were at the retreat, so there we go.
Great.
Thanks for joining us and reliving what you ended up experiencing back in the end of the month. Okay, so today's giveaway winner is Cynthia Swain, and Cynthia, congratulations. I believe we're sending out some tropical fruit nutri-berries your way, as well as another Lafeber product of your bird's choosing or choice. And next Friday, just to announce real quick, we're going to be on with Dr. Tolley for another great episode of Ask the Vet. So if you have any vet questions or just to join us to learn from other people's vet questions, it's always worth joining. And Brenda wanted me to announce that she's going to be going out of town. So the video recap of the webinar might be a little bit later than usual on the Lafeber YouTube channel, but it will be up. So, and as you mentioned, Lisa, you know, yeah, go back and watch it so you can really, you know, the detailed slides that she's sharing, it's got a lot of great information. So,
right. And thank you for everybody for allowing me to videotape and take pictures to be able to share it, because it was a wonderful event. And we have part 2 on May 17th. So don't forget to tune in and see what happened on Sunday.
All right. Until then. All right, guys. Everyone have a great weekend. All the best to you and your flock. Everyone stay safe. And until next time. Bye. Thanks, Lisa.
Bye.